A common question that I always get asked is, have you or would you ever cheat in a card game with all of the skills that you know? My honest answer is no, I never would, because ethically, I don't think it's correct, and that's never been the reason why I learned sleight of hand. However, if I ever did want to cheat in a card game, I totally would be able to, and I would love to demonstrate exactly how I would do this hypothetically. So I would let the spectator take the cards and they can shuffle these as much as they want. You guys can see that all of the cards here are genuinely mixed. And what we're going to do is something very ambitious here. But this is the goal for this trick, is that I'm going to try to shuffle track these cards. And what that means is I'm going to keep track of certain cards in the deck as I'm shuffling, cards that will be advantageous to me in a card game. So as you can see here, the cards are getting very shuffled. I'm going to go ahead and start right now, finding the cards that I want to find from a shuffled deck. So the first card that I will try to find is this card right here, an ace, as you can see. And the second card, I will also try to find an ace. Let me see if I can do this again. Right about here, there is the ace of spades. One card more, one card less would have been a different card. The third card, I will also try to find another ace. And I do know from the shuffle tracking that the next ace is 18 cards down in the deck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 cards down is the third ace. One card more, one card less would have been a different card. Now, of course, it would be cool for me to find the final ace, but what would be more impossible is if I were to allow you to find the final ace and pass on my skills to you. As you could see, just by cutting through the cards and shuffle tracking the cards, I was able to find these 3 aces. However, I will now teach you exactly how to do it. It's all about gut feeling. So can you just follow along with me? Just go ahead. I want you to cut the deck just like this, and then complete the cut, but keep the cards at a wonky angle when you cut them, just like that, so that we can keep a spot where you cut. So now the spectator can cut anywhere in the deck, and they can complete the cut just like this. Now let's go ahead and recap. Remember, you shuffled the deck, and I've found 3 aces already. We have the ace of hearts, the ace of spades, and the ace of diamonds. There is one more ace that would make this complete. And remember, you just cut the cards. Look, if you had cut less, would have been this card, not an ace. But you cut right here to this specific card. Please go ahead and show everyone the ace of clubs, the 4th and final ace. And that is how I would cheat in a poker game.
The mind is led on, step by step, to defeat its own logic.
Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I really hope you guys enjoyed that new intro that you just saw. I've had my old intro for many years, and I've been wanting to spice things up for a while now, so I figured why not have a nice, snazzy new introduction. But without further ado, let's get into how this trick works. So if you're a fan of this channel, you might have recognized this trick before, as I have made a video on this exact trick in the past. However, since uploading that video, I now perform that trick very differently than I did before, and I figured it was about time for an updated version. So this is my new version of the cutting to the aces routine. So this truly is an impromptu trick that can be done with any deck of cards, as long as the cards can be faro shuffled. All that you're gonna do is take the deck and you're going to control the 4 aces to the top of the deck, and you really can do this in an impromptu setting if you are simply taking the cards from the spectator for the first time and you're just going to look through them and you can comment on the cards, be like, oh, these are really nice cards. And as you're going through the cards and checking them out, you can ask the spectator if this is a full deck, and they can say yes, maybe, I don't know. And all you're going to do is locate and cull the 4 aces up to the top of the deck, and there you go. Now you're ready to start the trick. So to start the trick, you can actually let the spectator shuffle the deck at this point, and when I ask the spectator to shuffle the deck, I will mimic the action of an overhand shuffle so that they will know to shuffle the cards in this way and to not shuffle the cards in this way, because obviously a riffle shuffle might disturb the top 4 cards. Doing actions is very important for giving directions because it will let the spectator know exactly what you want. So now the spectator can give the cards a little overhand shuffle, and you can stop them very early on and just say, that's fine. And now you can take the cards back, and if they've shuffled the cards barely, you can see that the 4 aces will still be together somewhere in the middle of the deck. So all you have to do is now spread through the cards and then just find the aces and then spread past them, just keep your finger and say, look, you shuffled the cards, everything is completely random, right? And now you're just gonna cut those cards back to the top of the deck, and there you go, 4 cards back on top. Once the cards are on top, you're now going to shuffle 7 cards from the bottom to the top. And I do this by peeling off 7 cards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and just throwing the rest of the deck on top. So now there's 7 cards on top of those aces. And now you're going to perform a pharaoh shuffle. And this doesn't have to be a perfect pharaoh shuffle, but you should get as close to perfect as possible because you're going to want those top cards and those aces to be perfectly interlaced. And this should also be an in pharaoh, meaning that the top card, this card right here, will be the second card in the deck once the pharaoh shuffle is completed. So just get a nice in pharaoh shuffle right there. And then you can show the spectator that the cards are being shuffled, and you can explain through this entire process that you are shuffle tracking certain cards. But I don't like to say the aces because I kind of like to leave that as a surprise for the end of the trick when you actually do keep finding the aces, and it will just keep being a surprise for the spectator. So don't tell them which cards you're trying to find right off the bat. So now once you've done this, the aces are now positioned perfectly in the deck so that they will now be 16, 18, 20, and 22 in the deck from the top. And all you really have to do now is genuinely cut to these aces. And since you know the rough estimate location of where they are, and since there's 4 of them, it's actually way more easy than you'd think to cut to an ace. All you have to do is cut roughly about 1/3 of the deck, and you're going to lift up the cards and see if there's an ace on the bottom. And if there is an ace on the bottom, that's great. You're just going to take it off and put it aside. But if you don't see an ace on the bottom, then that will likely mean that the ace is the next face down card. So don't immediately show the spectator this first card here. You're gonna first look at it yourself, and if it's not the card, then you're gonna flip this card over here. And then, very important next step is, since this ace is now removed, you're going to need to remove one of these cards. So you're gonna take the next card that was right below the ace, and you're actually going to place this card on top of the deck as you place the packet down, and then this card goes on top. So it will essentially remove that card from the packet and place it on top of the deck. This will now keep the aces interlaced with an ace, random card, ace, random card, ace. Another important tip is to not name which suit the ace is. You're just gonna say, I cut to an ace. So now you're going to do this entire process again. You're going to cut about 1/3 of the cards. I see here that this is not an ace, so that must mean that the next one is an ace. You're gonna place that down and do the exact same thing where you're going to displace this card here by showing that you could have cut 1 more or 1 less, but now you're going to place the packet down and this card will go on top. This next part is my favorite part of the trick because it's completely automatic. It doesn't matter which aces you've cut to, the next ace will automatically be placed in the 18th position, because think about it, the first ace was originally the 16th, and now you've just displaced 2 random cards on top of the deck, placing 2 more cards on top of those aces. So now it doesn't matter which aces have been removed. The next ace will now be automatically in the 18th position. So you're going to deal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and the 18th card will be the next ace. You're going to take this card, place it with the other aces, and then you're going to flip over the next card down, the 19th card, and show that 1 more would have also been a random card. Now the next ace will actually be this face down card right over here, but you're not going to show that quite yet. Instead, you're going to take the 19th card that you just flipped over. You're actually going to use this card to scoop up the cards on the table, and then you're going to flip the packet in your hands over and place this whole thing on the bottom of the deck as you square up. And now what you're going to do is get in the position for an overhand shuffle, and you're essentially going to control this card to the middle of the deck by shuffling around exactly half the deck. You're going to in-jog the next card and then shuffle the remainder on top like this. And now you're going to leave the cards on the table for just a moment. And now you're going to explain that you have been the one cutting to these aces the entire time, but now you're going to try to teach them how to do it themselves. And you tell them it's all gut feeling or whatever. You can obviously change the presentation to whatever fits for your performance style. This next part of the trick, I give credit to Christian Grace for his thoughts on the crosscut force. This is essentially his version of doing it, where you will actually give a demonstration of doing the crosscut force, and in the action of the demonstration, you will bring the force card to the top of the deck. So I have the in-jog already in the middle of the deck right over here. So all I have to do is lift up on this card. And if I lift up on this card, the ace will now be the top card of this packet over here. So you're going to demonstrate a crosscut force for the spectator by cutting to the in-jog and then placing the other half on top at a wonky angle, and tell them to do exactly this. And now you can square up the cards and they can do the crosscut force on themselves, because the ace has now been controlled to the top of the deck. So they can cut the cards and then do the crosscut force. And now the reason why I never mentioned the suits is to now bring attention to the suits for the purpose of giving some time misdirection to step away from this for a second. So we're going to recap and say, remember, I cut to 3 aces over here. What do we have? We have the ace of clubs, the ace of hearts, and the ace of spades. Now there is one final ace that would complete this picture, and you have the spectator tell you which one it would be, and they tell you it would be the ace of diamonds. Now you could just reveal the card right away and show it here, but there is one extra little step that I like to do. I'm not sure if I'm the creator of this idea, but this is something that I've been doing with my crosscut forces for a while that I do think enhances it much more, where instead of immediately showing the card they cut to, I will actually show the cards that they did not cut to, and I say, look, if you would cut a bit higher, it would have been a completely different card. And then I will place this back and simply remove the cards and say, look, but you cut to this exact card right here. And now they flip it over. And this, in my opinion, just makes the illusion a little bit stronger, because it will further make them forget which half was the original top half of the deck. And this looks like that if they had cut here, it would have been a different card, but they cut lower than this, and lo and behold, it will be the ace. So that's just a nice little subtlety that I like to throw in with my crosscut forces. That is the end of the trick. And the spectators will be completely blown away that you were able to cut to the 4 aces from a completely borrowed and shuffled deck, and they will be even more amazed that they were able to cut to the final ace themselves. So yeah, I really love this trick. This is one of my go-to routines that I do all the time because it's totally impromptu and pretty simple to do as well. But yeah, I hope you guys liked this updated version of the routine. Let me know your thoughts, and let me know if you guys perform it, what kind of reactions you get. And yeah, as always, see you guys next time. Bye.